Well, greetings again. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt, and I'm talking to you from beautiful Glen Rose, Texas. And we're proud of our little town. And I'm with the American Orthodontic Society, and I want to talk a little bit more about this Big Daddy Archwire. Now, I didn't give it that name. Well, I was just going to call it an overlay or something like that. But some of the students in our lectures over the years, they just started calling it Bill Wyatt's Big Daddy Archwire, and that name has stuck. So we're just going to call it the Big Daddy Wire, and it's made up of about 3 different sizes of wire: the 040, the 036, and the 030 wire. The 030 is where if you're kind of a pansy and don't care about much force in there, you can use that wire on it. And you can just do so many things with this. And I don't care who you are, I don't care how old you are, and I don't care anything about it. You put this on somebody and it will expand their arches. If it doesn't, you've got it hooked up wrong, because it'll do an expansion of anybody's arch. Now, if you've got ankylosed teeth, it'll still bring the whole bone structure out and carry the ankylosed tooth with it in many instances. If the ankylosed tooth is on the bus and you move the bus, it goes with it too. So we're going to show some of the many uses of this wire. And today, this arch I want to show is a lady that worked for me, and her arches were just kind of long, tapered arches like this, and you spread them out, and as you spread them, these arches, the front part is going to go in like that. So we brought a protrusive face back, actually, by broadening it out like that, and that works. And the Big Daddy Archwire it'll do that. It doesn't matter. You make the thing fit what you want it to be like, and you can change the whole shape of the arch up here. Now, if you expand somebody and you go out here past the thing that controls the movement of the teeth all your life is that the tongue pressure from the inside is pushing out, and the lips and the cheeks and everything from the sides hold it back in that way, and the teeth get in this gap right here. And that is where nature puts them. I don't care whose diagnosis you use. If you go past that or underneath it, something like that, then the teeth are going to tend to go back that way in the retention. But there's a way out of this. Now, like when we expand somebody, like I took this lady's and did the arch like that. Now the tongue pressure won't keep it there like it's to start with, but you wear your retainer during this time, and the tongue finally pushes the whole arch out to a neutral zone. In other words, if you keep it organized and you stay with the retention of it. And so this old bull about wearing a retainer so many months or so many weeks, this is a ridiculous thing. You've got to wear this retainer until the whole dental arch, the whole mechanism up here goes out to where we have a neutral zone in this. And now this is true. It'll take it there. If you expand somebody past their this zone, then it will move the teeth out there. So you have to wear a retainer until it quits going out there. And you've got a thickness of the retainer you have to deal with. So let's get started on this case, and I want to show you some really good things you can do with this Big Daddy arch. Now, this lady worked for me for several years and learned orthodontics and learned how to help and then many stuff. And so she wanted to get her teeth brought back in. She also had a temporal mandibular joint problem. So we're going to throw that in the whole thing, see, right here. So we're going to get rid of that. Now, on the we've got a whole slew of pictures here, so I'm going to go as fast as I can, and you can slow them down and go them back and forth if you want to. This right side of the mouth is correct. I mean, this is the way it is. This is a class 1. These teeth are going right in the spot. This even got the 6 keys of occlusion. This distal cups back over here, and the anterior is off up here in the front because the other side of the mouth is not lined up like that. So we'll go to the other side of the mouth, and we've got a class 2 malocclusion. This should go there, this here, here, and this is not back far enough on this side over here. So you need to bring this up. So your midline is going to be off on the case. Now, both of these arches are narrow. In other words, there's like an arrowhead right in here. Now we're going to expand this. You can take the Big Daddy arch now and you make it fit. In other words, you're going to come out in this area and you come in this area and come out over here when you make it. And now you can expand it and bring it out whatever you want, and you push it in, and it will expand these teeth more than these up here in the front of the mouth. So as you move these teeth out, in other words, if somebody out arch like that develops, a lot of times the teeth will go in like this, and maybe they're hitting more on the buccal cusp, but not. But this doesn't look like it is. But this is what we want the arch to go to, and we're going to show this lady several years. This is 1987 right here, and she's probably 45 or something like that, and I don't care how old she is, by the way, and we can move the arches out there. If you've got an ankylosed tooth and you bring the whole arch out, the ankylosed tooth tends to go out there with the bone structure. In other words, it's on the bus. You move the bus out, it goes with the bus, like that. If not, you loosen it up and take it out there. But I've never had one that held back like that. So we're going to take this arrowhead arch like this and widen it in this area and then bring it back in here. So you need to bend your Big Daddy Archwire in that shape and put it up here. And if you want to measure how far it goes in there, then you use your Orthodontics gauge, and you can push on this and find out exactly how much force this has. You hook one side up, and then this you push the other one down, and when you get it, when you put it over there, it'll be half that much and half over on the other side of the mouth. So it widens it, and you can tell exactly how much force you got in there, on there. So let's get on to something else here. Now on the bottom arch, look at the shape of this arch, like this. Now, if you take somebody that's arched like that and you widen it out, look what happens to the front of it. This is going to go back in here, and it's going to come out more back here, but we'll come something like this, and we can make this arch how we want it to make it look good, make the facial structure look good. And this is 1987, and I will show you this in 1990 something, 96, I believe. It's not quite 10 years out, but then I know the lady, and she came back in, and it's still that way, and I'll guarantee you today it'll be that same way. Okay, let's get on with this. Now here we come in and put a regular arch wire in here. Now we did several things on this lady. We got down low with the lower arches. I don't care where you put the arch up here, but you're going to see it, so we can come off of the molar, drop down and go around low on this, and you won't even see the lower arch. You'll see the upper. And we were working there in the office, and so they wanted these porcelain brackets or tooth-colored brackets, so we put these across here. Now, I don't like those things for torquing and stuff, but they like them, and so we used it. And so we worked to put a rectangular arch in. Do not try to torque the teeth with a Big Daddy Archwire. There's an article on this where the author was trying to torque the teeth with the Big Daddy Archwire. You could do something maybe to torque one of the molars, but you can't make this round wire torque the teeth. You put it on the side, you bring it out here, then the tooth's going to, if it's going straight like this, you move the crown out, the roots will go back in the other direction. It'll rotate somewhere up in here. This is like bone structure. I'll show that to you, and I want people to understand you've got to put the torque on these teeth in a rectangular arch. Do not try to torque it with the Big Daddy arch. Now, if you get somebody that's just going to expand a little bit, you look at them and the teeth are in this way, and you can pull them out here, and you don't have to do anything. But if you're going to go on out like this, then you've got to bring these roots out. This is where the airway is up here, and that's what you're after in most of these cases. The people that are allergies and all sorts of problems that cause people to breathe through their mouth, and if you're breathing through the mouth, your tongue's down in the bottom, and there's nothing to make the upper arch expand like it normally should. And so that's why we want children to nurse for 2 to 3 years even, and they develop this part of the mouth early, and they develop, and they are less likely to be subjected to the exposure to allergies like that. So this all sorts of health things go in with orthodontics. So let's go ahead and do another deal here. We got a long way to go here. All right, so we're going to put a rectangular arch up above. We're going to expand that, and we want to go out. As you go with the tooth, if the tooth starts to show up like it's biting on the lingual cusp, then you've got to put more force on this right there. So you do an arch wire, and you catch it behind the cuspid up here, and you do a progressive torque in that wire. You twist that wire till it's set up. Now, if you can visualize in your head, I mean, we're going to show you, say, the crown or the bracket in a molar or a bicuspid in here. It's in the side of the bicuspid. Let me just draw a little bit here and show you. Now, here is the side of a molar tooth, like that. And you put your bracket in here, and the brackets are your bond. They've got a shelf here, and they stick out like this. And you've got the deals. Maybe you can visualize it. Now I use an 0.18 bracket slot. In other words, this distance here on the bracket is 0.18. This distance here is 0.25. You can see that's a 2 there. Now, the wire, the 0.18, is that diameter. It fits into this slot. The slot has to be slightly bigger than 0.18. Now, I like to use smaller arch wires. Most of you have been taught to use 022 wire, and the 022 is too big. I don't like. I can bend the 018 a lot more and torque better with it than I can with the 022. So I use the 018. And the reason they used 022, the guy that invented them had a disc that cut an 022 wire, so it's got a greater dimension in here like that. And you got a bigger arch wire. You can use a smaller arch wire if you want to. Now these are some facts about torquing teeth. If you got a slot in here and you fill it like we do most of our work in 017, in other words, we're 1,000 smaller than this opening in the arch, in the bracket right here. For every 1,000th of slop you put in there, you lose 4 degrees. I don't know how you degrees, 4 degrees of torque. So you have to add the amount of torque you want if you put a lot of space in the arch. Now this gets a little complicated here, but I don't want to scare you off from using it. Now, so if we want this tooth to torque out in this direction, we have to put an arch wire, and we catch the arch wire behind the cuspid and twist it at the end. You turn a little end up on the arch wire. You got it going around like this, and you turn the end up like this. You catch it here at the cuspid and hold it with one plier, and you get back here and twist it. And now the wire, when it gets back to the molar, may have a torque in it, something like this. Now, if I flatten that out and stick it into this crack right here, this arch wire. Now I'm going to do my hands up here. This is the bracket slot. Now we take this arch wire and we bend it like that. Now bend it down, but it wants to come up this way. Now, so I bend it down. Now this is going to, when I do that, it's going to tend to move the roots of the tooth out in this direction. It's just natural. That's the way it wants to go. But don't forget this. That's not the way the tooth goes. The roots of this tooth are in bone structure up here. So if you take an arch wire and put buccal root torque, this is the buccal, the outside is a buccal. You put buccal root torque in your arch wire right here, put it in there, and you just leave it with the arch wire. The arch wire doesn't have enough strength to keep the crown out there, and the torque will overpower the resistance of that tooth. And instead of getting buccal root torque, you're going to get lingual crown torque. In other words, this tooth will move in, and the roots of it may move out a little bit, but it'll move in. Now, we do not want that. We want this tooth brought out bodily. So when we expand it, we want the tooth to move out that way. So we put this large arch wire over here. We overlay it over this, and this arch wire is out here. We bend it in, and it will not let this tooth go in the crown. So that this carries the tooth out, and it carries the roots out with it. Your arch wire carries the roots out. It's got that force in there. If you didn't have this big wire in here, this crown would move in a lingual direction. So don't try to torque with a round, large wire in there. That's not what it's meant for. And I hope to goodness everybody understands. You can do all sorts of things with this wire. If you just stick it on the outside, it costs nothing. I mean, virtually nothing to build these Big Daddy Archwires, and it's on the outside. You can take it off when you want to. You can add the more than you want. You can expand anybody as big as you want to with this archwire. And then the bone will gradually go out. You just put the gradual pressure on there and it'll expand these teeth. I don't care who you are, what race you come from, whatever it is, you can do that with a large archwire like that. You can put a force enough in there to do that. So we got to get moving here. But I hope you understand, do not torque with this wire. You torque with the rectangular wire right here, and then you can take the wire, you bend it down, you got it up here, you bend it down. It tends to do, I mean, you stick it in there, and it's going to bring that tooth down in that direction. All right. Now, when you bend it down, you said it's going to want to force the tooth back that way, but it doesn't. And as you pull this over here, this will move this in. So, all right, let's get on to this case and do this. Erase that and go back now. All right, this lady had a TMJ problem, so we put a bonded blocks on the arch, and we brought her lower arch further forward to get her condyle off the retrodiscal tissue, and that stopped the TMJ problem. We brought these teeth down lower in here, and these up above, and now we're going to put a rectangular arch in the upper, and we brought this out, and then let her back teeth come up into contact, and then we can take that pad off there. So we're moving the jaw further forward, and we're going to put a ramp on it to keep it. All right, now I think, can you enlarge this? I don't think we can do this, but this is the way we put the arch in the bottom arch. You come up like this, and then you make a little circle. And you've got this will be out. And think of this in a round arch. Now, don't think about it as a flat thing. So we got the other side to fit in here too. So this will be expanded out here. Maybe I expand them usually about something like that on both sides. But to start off with, you don't want to stick this on some idiot that's, he may come back, may leave and go stay somewhere else. If they don't show back, this is going to finally move the teeth out to that point. And you tie each of the teeth, the second one, to this, and so it brings the whole arch out. It'll be more in the back, and that's where you want more of the pressure. And up in here, we wanted a lot of the pressure in this area, so we built this wire out away from the teeth here. And then when we expand it, now we come in, and it's still got space out here. It's going to move these teeth further than it moves the molar teeth back here. I don't want to lose anybody thinking, well, this is too blooming complicated. If you work at it and study it and work with it, you'll get to where you can do this. Now if you're just an orthodontist and you've been doing this for years, you may think this is just a bunch of junior stuff, but it's not. I mean, here we're torquing these teeth, and if we want to band or bracket this tooth back here and pull it out, it'll torque all of these teeth. And down on the bottom, if you want to just spread it some and maybe torque it a little bit, you can do that. You can better put a rectangular arch in here and it'll do that. Now, we put the pads in here so we can move the jaw forward, and now we'll take them off and let the back teeth come together back here, and that'll support it, and then we'll bring these teeth together, and we're going to finish up with a mouthpiece with a forward positioning ramp on it for the TMJ stuff. So that gets it even further complicated. I don't want to scare you off of it. Now, you can drop the bands down to where you can put the brackets right down over the gum line on adults if you just know how to use the archwire. Run the archwire down low like that. You don't even see this stuff here. And it'll have the top edges of the teeth lined up like that. So you drop off to do that. Now this we're finishing up with it, and we've got it looking like that. Now this, if you look at it from the side, it goes in like that. And the same way over on this side of the mouth. Now, we made a retainer. We put a bite plate on the retainer. You build the retainer, then you put some soft material in here, and you have the person closed too. And the lower teeth go up against that. If they've got real big cingulum on the teeth, level those out so that becomes a kind of a shelf for your lower anterior teeth to bite up against that. Now, putting that on his teeth, there's a trick to it, and there's a lot of people don't know that, you see. Now this tooth is thinner, and we made it joined so that the edges are all like that. Now, people don't realize that when you tell somebody to bite too, if you throw their head back like this, the jaw goes back with it. You can just put your own teeth and tap together, and now bring your jaw forward, and now go down here and bite, and your front teeth will be out in front here. And if you make a bite plate on somebody, make it in the position that they chew or eat their food in, and where they keep the jaw. Make it here. Don't do this and don't do that. I remember when I was in dental school, a teacher was showing us how to make a bite for dentures, and he threw it against the person's mouth like that, and that the denture doesn't fit now when he brings it out. You've got different places that the jaw closes together, and you want it to close where they normally bite to when they close in that respect. So that's another thing to throw in here that you have to remember. So here we make this, okay, and we've bonded the lower teeth together here to hold that in place, because we're changing the shape of this person's face, and the tongue had made the arch this way, and now we want to make it this way. And if you keep it that way long enough and they wear a retainer, it'll make the whole complex move forward till you've got it into a neutral zone here, and then you start leaving the retainer out. Now this old bull of wearing a retainer 6 months or 3 months and now all day and then wear it at night and all that, that's just a bunch of bull. That's it. Some people need to wear one all the rest of their life. If your teeth are past a point where the neutral zone is out, and you have to keep doing that. If it comes back, you can't wear it. I remember Loretta Young, a movie star, was wearing a retainer to keep her real toothy smile out there when she was an older lady. All right, let's go on here. Now we bond this thing in. Now here they've got the profile with like we want it right there. And there it is again. And this is 92, I believe it's 92, and that was 87. Now, I watched this lady for years after that. She moved to Granbury down here and worked for an orthodontist and helped him. And you can see where these teeth are lined up on this side and they're lined up on the other side. And she wore a retainer at night with a ramp on it. and you put this in at night, and it'll keep your teeth up here so you don't pull it back during the night time. During the daytime, she wore a very small ridge in there, and it kept the teeth in that position, and she still has that teeth like this. And here she is older, and her teeth are the same way. And this is 1987, and there's 1996. All right, from 87 to 96, we got about 6 and 3, about 9 years in here. It shifted back just a wee bit here, but that's all. I mean, it stayed like that because she wore her retainer longer. Now, you can't, there's no way, if anybody just tells everybody the same blooming way to wear a retainer, that is foolish. It is not the way. I mean, so you've got to wear the retainer till you get the whole complex to a point of neutral facial pressure here, and here is the same. So I thank you for watching this. This is 1987. There she is in 1996. All right, there it is over here on this side, and there it is in 96. And this is the arch that we started from, and there the arch is in 96. Now, this is unusual. I don't think her tongue would just automatically keep this in this position, but we wore the retention until this stayed in that position. And now we roll a ramp to keep it up here, keeps the condyle off of the retrodiscal tissue, and stop the TMJ problem, and we did all this together. So this gets pretty complicated in a way, but you can take these videos and go backwards and forwards in any way you want to until you learn it and learn how to do it. Now I don't have no earthly idea who's going to listen to this or look at it. And there's people all over this YouTube thing, and we've got these videos that go on Facebook too, somewhere. They can see them, and you can go backwards and forwards until you can get this down, and you can learn how to do it. But it's better if you go to the American Orthodontic Society will take people in and teach them, but we can't get people from all over the world. But you can get study clubs out there and learn how to do this. If you're an orthodontist and you know it, well, okay, just look at something else. But people who need to learn this, you can learn it from that. I thank you for watching it, and I ain't going to be around all this long. But as long as God gives me the breath, I'm going to try to straighten orthodontics out, and we'll try to do complicated adult orthodontics ought to be done by people that go to the university and study orthodontics. And the people that are teaching it in the universities probably don't know how to do all this adult orthodontics. They ought to learn it and teach it. And the simple stuff ought to be done by anybody that cares enough to learn it. But don't do this junk orthodontics. I think that the pediatric dentists, it is ridiculous that they don't take children and do these little orthodontic steps along the way and do that. That is so ridiculous. I want pediatric dentists to be free to do the pediatric orthodontics, and they want to carry them on till they're older. That's fine too. But there's adult orthodontics out here that's just going untreated because people don't want to do it. And that's a fact. So I want to close up, and this is the way we ended up with this young lady at 80 in 1996. It was like that. And here she is. She was a faithful worker. And thank you now, and I'm going to sign off, and I hope I haven't hacked her off too much so you'll learn this. But I just don't care if people are just learning to do junk stuff so they can do it hurry. So I'm going to close out now.